Show. Now we're going to bring in my guest. He is running for mayor in the fine town of Bayonne. He's the former assemblyman there. My buddy Jason O'Donnell. Jay.
How you doing, Pat?
All right, so a candidate for mayor, Jason O'Donnell. First off, why are you running?
Simple answer, Pat. I was born and raised in the town. I'm raising my family here, and I think I can do a better job.
A few weeks ago, when you first announced, I did a piece on the issues facing Bayonne, the revow, the upcoming revow, the PATH deal, the Port Authority deal, where they sold the future to plug a hole in this year's budget, the Suez water deal, development at the MOT, Broadway shopping districts. Are any of those the main reason you decided to get into the race?
Well, sure, Pat. If you combine all of those things, they equal one thing. They equal a terrible outlook on our future. The development deals that have been struck under this administration will shortchange the taxpayers for decades to come. We have to get in and look at those and see how we can alter those and certainly change that practice. The practice of stealing from Peter to pay Paul has to end. These abatements and pilots that this administration has struck will shortchange our education system for the next 30 years. Think about that. 3 generations of children in this town will not get the resources that they need because of deals that were done over the last 3 years.
Are you against development in Bayonne, Jay?
Absolutely not, Pat. We have to have development, but it's got to be the right development. It can't be 100% or 90% commercial, residential. We need to bring commercial development to the town and create jobs to stimulate our economy. The other thing is, Pat, it's not the development that's killing us. It's the bad pilot deals. It's 25 and 30 years that we're depriving the tax base and, more importantly, depriving our education system. You know, we all pay from the same dollar, and to say that we're only going to give the Board of Education 5% of the taxes on these deals is irresponsible. You're talking 3 or more decades of children that will not be able to get their fair share, and we all know full well what has happened over the last few years in terms of education funding. So we can't continue down that path.
Couldn't you just look at Jersey City for the mistakes made with pilot programs?
Sure. There's no question. Geography should play a role into it. Your proximity to public subsidized transportation like the light rail is. Look, I get it. Situation by situation differs. If it's a brownfield or there's a cleanup, obviously a longer term abatement may be required. But just because you're building here does not mean you should get a 30 or 25 year pilot.
Jay, in Jersey City, Mayor Fulop tweaked the way we do pilots here. Each part of the city got a different pilot program, and Mayor Fulop is constantly tweaking it and tweaking it. What would you propose for the pilots in Bayonne?
Well, something very similar, Pat. Given our geography and given we're surrounded by water, there are different areas that should get different values on their pilots. More importantly, though, we have to negotiate better. Mayor Fulop was able to extract from developers through negotiations money to parks and money towards schools and money toward things that the community needs, senior centers and what have you. We have done none of that. We've walked away from the table with nothing. We haven't gotten jobs out of it, no long-term growth. And look, Pat, at the end of the day, somebody's got to pay the bill for this. And ultimately, it'll fall on the taxpayer. And it won't be next year or the year after, but in years to come.
The last I read that Bayonne is a distressed city property tax-wise. Do you see it getting worse?
Well, look, we have a revow coming up that's not spoken about by this administration. I intend to fight that revow. If I'm elected, I intend to fight that revow and push it off. Pat, we have an economic crisis here in Bayonne for the last at least decade, and we need to right the ship. Our taxpayers can't afford to bear the burden anymore.
Don't make mistakes we made in Jersey City fighting a revow. Explain how you would fight that revow, because I know Mayor Fulop was just anti it.
We haven't begun work on it yet. I'm just saying, not fight it. It has to be done. I get it, but we need more time.
In Bayonne, as I'm asking Mayor Fulop in Jersey City to figure a way to protect our seniors and the disabled from a revout, how would you do that?
You know, Pat, we have to look at it. We have to actually get in and figure out how much commercial and industrial properties we've lost to see what effects the reval are going to have before we can go out with a plan to protect seniors and the handicapped.
Well, let's jump over to the MOT. What would you change there? Because that's almost like a fluid situation in Bayonne, because like every 6 weeks you hear a different plan. What would you do different in the MOT?
Well, the first thing we have to look at is if you're going to say we're going to put a Costco there and surround it with high-end development, I don't think that formula works. I don't think people that are going to buy a high-end condo or townhouse are going to live in proximity to a Costco. Let's be quite frank. It's not going to happen, especially a Costco that's going to be pumping diesel and gasoline. That means truck traffic and car traffic. You're not going to live amongst that. So we have to go in and look at those agreements and see what ones work for that property and see what ones don't work for that property. But again, these were deals signed by this administration in what I believe is a haphazard way, just to put points on the board.
Broadway, what would you do to begin a renaissance there on Broadway?
Well, look, Pat, you know, we have to bring population here. So that's why I'm not against development. We need sustainable population to, in fact, shop in these stores. But it's going to take salesmanship. We're going to have to go out and lure them here. There's no doubt about it. But we can start by making it cleaner. There's no question about that. And I don't think you'll find too many residents that don't agree with me on that. We need to make it safer. We need to bring back the walking patrols on Broadway so that people know that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night, they're safe to walk the avenue. So those are two things we need to do right away. I think once we start that and we start to build our economic base again, I think the rest of it will take care of itself. Look, the other problem we have is geographically, it's almost 3 miles long. The business district isn't going to sustain 3 miles. We don't have the population for it. One of the things we can do is encourage residential development along that corridor, much like Hoboken. If you live on Broadway, you're more inclined to walk down and do your shopping there, albeit whether for newspapers or breakfast or dinner. But I would encourage more second-story and third-story development on Broadway.
So residential on top, retail on the bottom floor?
Yeah. We have that in certain sections already.
As you continue on in your quest to become the mayor of Bayonne, we're almost out of time here. We'll see if we can bring you back every couple of weeks or so you can bring us up to date on your campaign and what the issues are. And anytime you want to address the fine people of Bayonne live, we can do it just like this, hopefully without the little quirks that we had in the video stream. Jay O'Donnell, I'll talk to you later, and thank you for your time.
Pat, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to break for commercial. That is candidate for mayor in the fine town of Bayonne, Jason O'Donnell. We'll be right back.